in the middle of it. It's almost like a dying breed now, and there needs to be more games within that particular segment of the gaming, because not everyone wants to play a $700 million Call of Duty game or a 40-hour Assassin's Creed game or something. Some people, they want a nice linear 8-hour experience or something, and games like, Savage Planet, or you could call it's a franchise now. It's not even a game, it's a franchise.
Yeah, that's it. It's a platform.
Yeah. Shared universe incoming.
A shared universe. Well, Dave that we announced it, but you can play as Dave the Diver. You can play as Dave the Spaceman.
Really?
In our game. So yeah, we kind of deal with them, which
Nice.
is pretty funny. So that's pretty cute.
Yeah.
So you have,
Nice.
instead
That's
of
cool.
a helmet, you have a kind of rubbery Dave head. So it's a bit strange.
That's cool.
But I think it's just a tricky spot, like, you know what I mean, like, because the AA is sort of in that $10 to $20 million cost range, and that's a lot of money for a lot of people, but not enough money for the big guns. So you're sort of in the dead zone of spending, where, so an EA will say, well, if you quadruple our investment, we're not going to make much money, so why don't we just put all of that into something else? And a Devolver will say, we don't have that amount of money. So like you sort of, we cobble it together almost like movies, where, if you ever watched a movie and you see 10 production companies at the start, the reason is they've got $1 million from each of them. You know what I mean? Like, sort of stitch together the funding model for the game.
Yeah,
and so that's often how we feel we end up doing that, and just running out of money and finding.
I know a lot of games get.
A bit more.
Yeah, a lot of games. I know a lot of companies get loans from states and countries and stuff like that. They give off these loans.
There's a lot of tax breaks.
Certain things. Yeah.
They generally structure it these days as generally structured as a tax break. Yeah. So like you can get a refund from the taxes. So it's not quite a loan. It's good for the state because it means you're paying someone in the state, right? And so then they're assuming you've created employment, and then instead of taking half that money, they take a quarter of that money. So I think it works out for them, and then all that money goes back into the economy anyway, because everyone has to go buy lunch. So it's a good deal if you can do it.
Right. So I'm gonna hop into a couple of these viewers' questions while we're at it.
Okay. Yeah.
So the first one. And this is, I think both of these, well, I guess the first one's mostly for Journey, I believe. But I guess it works for Revenge as well. From the Savage Planet fan via X. What was the thought process for designing half the alien creatures or characters in the game? They all look so stupid. It's great.
It's very hard. It's very hard to be authentically stupid. That's the problem. It takes a lot of smarts to be really stupid. It's like a pratfall, it takes time. But no, so I mean, what we tried, I brought the Monstrous manual from the original Dungeons and Dragons into the office on the first game, and it was basically like, when I got it, it was amazing. Like, you see a beholder, it's an eyeball covered in eyeballs, and you're like, what the fuck is this? I don't know what it is. Is it a friend? Is it a foe? Is it hard? Is it small? Is it big? And so we wanted to get back to that a little bit and try and have creatures that didn't look like established tropes or cliches. So that's the first part. And then the second part was then to sort of make sure there's a breadth of gameplay for them as well, that they're not predictable, and you don't quite know what's going to attack you and what's going to be your friend.
Right. One of my favorites is in Hot Garbage, the Fruit Loop toucan puffbirds. I loved that. As soon as the first time I killed one, it's just like milk and Fruit Loops just bust out of them. I was like, that's great. That's just great.
Toucan Sam.
Love it.
That's him. No, and if you go in the wardrobe in this and you collect all the gear, we have sort of a Temu version of the red shirts from Star Trek, and there's a Temu Han Solo and a Temu. There's all kinds of
That's great.
versions
That's great.
of costumes, so you can live out your
I saw a couple
fantasy as much as you want.
Yeah, I saw a couple in the trailers for Revenge. I also love that you got like the base customization stuff going on, where you can like move stuff around and everything. It just overall it does look like the kind of bigger and better thing. And as someone who 100%ed the base game and the DLC, I'm sure I'm going to be lost in it for quite some time.
I hope so.
No doubt about
and
that.
Hopefully a few more people as well.
Yeah. Oh, I hope so. You know what? I can guarantee it. How about that? I'll give you that. So, from Registrum via X, how often was the office filled with laughter from all the silly jokes and gags? And I have a feeling it was quite often.
It comes and goes. I often see like making a video game is, it's very exciting at the start, and then it's hopefully exciting at the end when you finish. And in between, it's like the valley of despair. And where you make a rough cut of something and it's not very good and you have to do it again. And video games are a lot about iteration on making them. So you make it once, you make it twice, then you realize what you fucked up in that version and you make it a third time. And whether it's especially in things like level design and and bits like that. So it's very tiring in the middle to keep the faith and go through it, but it's very funny at the end when everything's going well. But yeah, sometimes in the middle it's pretty hard. But generally it's the humor also comes last on the game a lot of the time. Like it's late. It comes in late in the game because it requires polish and requires, if you think about humor as timing or surprise or these sorts of things, it requires a lot of iteration to get right.
Alrighty. Under the Mayo, whom you may know from his YouTubing days, he asks the hard-hitting question: do you prefer drinking Coke or Pepsi when eating pizza?
Well, I have a good answer to this, believe it or not, because there is only one place in North America where Pepsi has always outsold Coca-Cola, and it is Montreal, Quebec, Canada. That is the only place in all of North America, and it is always outsold Coca-Cola. So the answer is Pepsi, but in reality, I still drink Diet Coke. But the answer for the province is Pepsi, and it's because they did the smart thing, and then apparently didn't think they should do it everywhere else, which is they had a local legend hockey player advertising it and a local comedian. So there was a lot of local stuff, which is part of the reason I talk about it was that we did a lot of localization in the first game, and everyone traditionally does French localization for Parisian French. And because obviously we're a bilingual province and it's part of the deal and something we should do to make sure it's in French as well, we did really Quebecois French, like hardcore slang. Imagine if you did an American version, but it's all deep South slang, and and that's what it's pretty funny, and it went down really well. And so we just did because also our second highest player base was in China for the first game, which was really cool, in that it makes us think the comedy wasn't just in the script, it was in the gamepad.
Yeah.
But we did a full localization this time around in China. So I was out there for like 4 days in Shenzhen and Shanghai the other week. And it's in like 500 malls in China with 500 billboards, like in couch co-op setups in there. So it was kind of crazy. It was kind of cool. So hopefully that repeats itself.
That has to be amazing to see, just your game out there in so many public places. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it was surprising actually. Like we cut that deal, and because it was a guy who runs a company there, and he'd grown up. He was born in China, and he'd done his university at Washington, and so he'd had consoles his whole life. And when he went back to China, he realized that they didn't know what consoles were. They'd never had that whole pass them by. So his vision was couch co-op. So in all these malls, he has these open locations where you can dump your kids, or sit down for a while, and and try some of those Western games.
Yeah.
There's actually a local shop around where I live at one point that actually allowed you to go inside and just kind of rent. I think they just allowed you to like rent time to sit. It was like super cheap, but they just let you sit down and just like play games. They had the X rocker chairs set up and like a bunch of TVs, and
I got one of those.
Just play co-op and stuff. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then they were just a regular game shop on top of that. Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's exactly. So again, you got to meet the players where they are, and so hopefully it inspires a few people to buy it on Steam or something down there as well.
Yeah, certainly.
All right, a hard-hitting follow-up. Then I have one little short question for you since we mentioned Quebecois. This is from Scott Miller of Apogee fame. And he asks, the follow-up question for the ages: jalapenos or no jalapenos on your pizza pie?
I'm more of a pineapple on the pizza guy. Really, if I'm going to go that way, I'm a fan of the Hawaiian, and I don't care who knows it.
Well, pineapple and jalapenos actually go together so well as really on a pizza. They really do go to. Scott's answer was the answer is always jalapenos, which
I was gonna say he did say that if you said no jalapenos that you were wrong. So.
Yeah, well, that's they got a lot of strong opinions out that way.